Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, I picked up this 50-year-old Yamaha Enduro 360 last fall. The person I got it from had bought it years before, tried to get it running, couldn't get it running, and just kind of gave up on it. At that same token, he had bought a lot of parts for it, tires, headlight, taillights, things like that, but just, again, never got it running. So it came with those parts. Hence I came along, purchased it, and when I went to go look at it, I went to go kick it over. It doesn't have much for compression, so I pretty much figure we have engine issues and who knows what else. So will we get it running or not? That I don't know yet, but at least we're going to start tearing into it and get a shopping list for what we need, because the other project I'm working on, I'm still waiting on parts. Having said that, let's go get it in the garage, on the table, and start dissecting it and see how we made out on this purchase. Alright, now we got it in the garage. Let's go get a little bit of a walk around on it and give you an idea what we have. So yeah, it came with 2 new tires on it. They look more dirt bikey than Enduro style, but we'll see. There's a box of parts over on the side here. It looks like it has some exhaust parts, again, original tail light, original headlights down there, and I think there's some brake shoes and stuff in the bottom of the box. And the bike itself, see what we got for miles. 5,700. Whether the speedometer cable is still working, we don't know. These are fun bikes. I have a 175 version of it, and it's a blast, but more power would definitely be a plus on it. Usually, these bikes got so beat up that everything got stripped off them and they just turned into dirt bikes. That's why you don't see any directionals or anything on this. I would like to try to make it back to being street legal, but again, that's, you know, further along down the line. Original seat cover on it, possibly savable. See a little bit of tears happening here and here. Some stuff's really available and some stuff can be very hard to get. So again, that's where we got to tear into it, see what we got. I have a feeling we're going to be ordering, you know, piston and rings and that kind of thing. But the problem is there's bores that are in there. You have to figure out what size bore it is. Forks look like they're kind of rusted up and pitted. Yeah, that's pretty bad on that one right there. Anything else? I don't know if that's the original front fender or not. 74, I know some year right around there, they got rid of the fender that hugged the tire, but I do see the bracket for the brace that went over, so it possibly had a low fender, not that high, like Presto and Petty style fender that is on there. A lot of people took those off too, because if you rode them in the mud would get boogered up inside the fender and stall the front tire out. Oh, the gas tank. Do we need a key? It's always a entertaining area to go look at. Let's go grab a light. Yeah, it's on a motorcycle, that's a big thing. I do see fuel down the side of there reflecting back. It's got crust in it, but it's not terrible, and it doesn't look like anybody ran any kind of coating through it. Oh, it's pretty putrid, and the smell is coming out. Alright, let's go get her on the lift and start getting into the engine. Yeah, this is the biggest issue I found so far is this. It just doesn't have much. So that'd be my suspicion, especially on a 2-stroke. It's very common for the top ends don't last very long, especially if there's a issue with the oiler. On these bikes, they have an oil tank that injects oil in with the fuel, and that oil is what lubricates the top and bottom of the engine, not like a regular 4-stroke that has oil that sits in the crankcase. So let's get the seat up, see if we can get the gas tank off, and maybe we'll do a compression test. Let's go see what prizes are under here. So it looks like they did some switching around. Looks like there's a solenoid in here. My guess is maybe they are trying to switch it from 6 volts to 12 volts, and maybe that's why the lights are changed. And or maybe they were trying to get rid of the battery altogether. Maybe that was what the deal was. Because normally you would see a battery sitting down in this box in here. Yeah, a bunch of stuff's unplugged. The taillights just kind of run through. I'm sure the headlight's probably the same way then. Alright, let's go get the gas tank bracket off of there, get the fuel line off, lift this tank up out of our way. Make it a little easier to work on. I don't see a clamp on that fuel line. It looks like it's just kind of really wedged on there. And I don't know if we're in off. We're going to find out in a second. I think straight up and down is off. Huh? Good. Alright, let's get that out. I grew up across the street from a sandpit. I know I've told this story quite a few times. But, what size is that? Not even a nut on it, that's why. I grew up across the street from a sandpit. And, bikes would show up all the time. And this is one of my favorites that were in there. It looks like somebody did some electrical all around, because that coil looks like it's aftermarket. Let's go. We'll get the plug right out of it. It's loose. Look down here. Where are you looking? Let's go turn the key on and we'll kick it, see if we have any spark. That could be another reason why they kind of gave up on it too, you know. They switched over to a bunch of 12-volt stuff. Alright, key is on. You should have it running off. It's in run. Let me hop up on it and I'll give it a couple of kicks. Oh yeah, it's got really good spark, good. I was going to suspect that that was definitely what our issue was, but I don't think we have anything for, yeah, there's nothing. It's not even popping your finger off. So we got to get that cylinder head off, but I think the first thing is get the exhaust out of our way. Now let's go deal with that. So we got two for the flange right here, and it looks like it squeezes through the frame. And that's probably why the tailpipes aren't in it. How would that come out of there? Well, let's just get it unbolted for now. Looks like it's got some kind of issue going on there. It's that double, is that a bolt? A nut and a bolt in there? There's gonna be a bunch of that. And then we can get that out of the way, probably get the cylinder head off. I think a 360 is a stroked 250. I think the piston and cylinder are the same size as a 250. Again, just probably added like an inch to the stroke of it. I'm not sure of that though. It went all the way up to, I think a 400 is the largest of the Enduros. But these are the more sought after and or valuable ones. Yeah, it should be a stud, which it is, but it pulled the whole stud out. But the other side's not going to be the same. Instead, this one has to offer with that. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. Did it just get jammed on there and that's how they decided to run it together? Does it wiggle out of there? Yeah, we got to figure out how to get the whole thing to kind of move forward for us. Let's give her a couple of wiggles. Like under the seat. Yeah, right here. Let's go get this mount off of it. You go. Forward. I think if we maybe take this off, we'll be able to get in there. Right now it's holding us back. Yeah. Let's go try to get rid of this leg guard. I got one bolt holding it. Should say one bolt and one screw. See how these decide to play. Yeah, that one's broken right off. All right. Did that give us enough room? Let it wiggle out of there. It's close. Keep digging. What we got going on under here? I think that's just a little rubber. There we go. That one. Oh, we found more stuff that's odd. What do you think that is? What's that thing? Rex's Speed Shop. I think it's got some information on it we can kind of look up. Alright, we're still dealing with the exhaust duct. We got to get it away so that we can get the cylinder head off, and the jug would have to come up anyway. So, I'm going to take a minute. I might be able to wiggle that out of there. It looks like possibly the top of the throttle is hitting it, but I do see airspace right now. Work on that. Maybe it looks like it's caught. The flange is caught in the width of the frame. I probably have to be able to get it to twist a little bit and pull away. Worst case, can we get to all the cylinder head bolts if it's still in place? Might be able to. That's the last one we got to get to right there. It does have something on it I've never seen before. Look on the exhaust. And there's this right here. The cable going to it. My guess is possibly a decompression valve. Imagine if that was in the open position, not allowing it to have compression. I still want to pull the head off anyway, but let's go see where that goes to. I don't see anything that gotta go somewhere, right? Maybe to the kickstart. That might be over. Yeah, it might go down to the crankcase on the other side. Let's go take a peek. Yeah, so it's tying into there. So my guess is that's a decompression. So when you go to kick it and then it releases after it goes to go fire. But let's go see if we can, I can't get the exhaust out of the way. Let's go get the bolts out of the cylinder head, and then that should make a little bit more play. It just does not have enough to clear. You turn it, try working it out. It's just too snug against the frame for it to pull that last little bit. I see some pry marks and stuff on it from prior issues, so I have a feeling it may have been a problem before too. Looks like it's got 6 going around. Buzz them out. If you notice right there, it's got another hole for a spark plug. I think the idea was you could run, like if you fouled a plug, you just swapped it over to the other plug. Well, my guess is if you're running a spark plug, you know, up in a chamber with no spark going to it, that it would be just as foul because it would just get all packed up with goo. All right, get the other ones off. Pop it. So out of the 6, 1 has a washer. I don't think it should be like that. I think it should be one way or the other, but just saying, only 1 has a washer on it. Let's go. I still think we're gonna have a clearance issue. We still have to get up over the studs. Foiled again, I tell you. Is it giving me enough wiggle room? It's like almost right there. I'm gonna go work on that for a little bit. Maybe I have to go pry on the front of it like they did. Go on the fins, really. I don't know if unbolting the motor and letting it try to sag down would give us anything. Taking the four bolts out of it. So it's got bolts that go through right there, and then it has like looks like this plate can get removed. It's separate, and then I guess the engine would come out on this side, but let's go get rid of that plate. I think that'll give us enough room. Yeah, those are 12s instead of 13s. That one's a 13. That one's a 13. Get those while we're here. Yeah, you can tell when all the hardware is different all the way around the bike. It's definitely had a life of non-leisure. Let's get the other two out, and then this bracket should drop out, give us a little bit more room. I think that bracket just fell right out. Yeah, let's see if this helps us. Yeah, it's the bracket. How about now? I think just have a little bit more room. No. All right. I think we want to make it so that the engine can drop. If I can get it to do that a little bit, should give us enough clearance. What else do we have for pinch points on it? It's not going to drop too far because that's pretty close right there. We got one right here on the swing arm. We got one right here. Let's get the top one looks easier to get to. Let's get that one out and see if it has just enough room to drop down. I'm going for the pry bar. It's like right there. There it goes. Not to say I think that you have to unbolt the whole engine to get the exhaust out of it. Is it filled with stuff? It's got something rattling in there though. Alright. Now we could do the reveal. Let's get that cylinder head off. Let's go pop over to the other side. Dun, dun, dun. Watch, it's got just like a blown head gasket. That'll be good. And we got one more washer. I lied, there was two. I don't see beat upness on that. You look like there's some blow by happening right there. Possibly. Oh, three washers. Had three. Let's go. Look, I don't see anything. I wonder if that's... Was that to take... Because it's got another head gasket underneath it. What's the point of those two? Let's go bring the piston to top dead center. It looks weird. Like I could see ring. You know, maybe I'm just not familiar with this, but it looks really odd as far as like you can see ring all the way around on that top. I don't think that's normal. See it? Got a lot of slop in it too. But like the ring, let me go get a little poker. Yeah, I've just never seen a ring that has like, it's like an L. Usually that top ring is just, you know what I mean? Let's go push that back down again. Like the ring's almost falling out of it. Could be. You can see a little bit of blow by where the gap is. If you look right there, you can see where it's leaving a black mark. But what's more concerning is I see it right there, and I think on this side it's got a lot. Go look at the other end of it. Oh yeah, you can see on that side all the scoring happening right there. So I wonder if something has gone kaput. Let's hopefully there's enough room to remove the cylinder head. We've got to get this jug from here to here. Has to clear the studs from here to here. Again, we may end up pulling the motor off. Any way to go. check that out. A lot of times they design them where you didn't have to do that, but so be it. Looks like we got bolts going down holding that. It's not using these to retain it, it's using some other ones. Let's get the carb out of our way. We have an oil injection line here we can get off. And what do we got to do about that, that decompression setup? Maybe just pull that cable off of there. Can we just work it? Might be able to just like lift it right out of our way. Or squeeze that down, get it out of our way. It's coming off. So right there is where that decompression is, right there. That's the hole that it lets as the piston's coming up. It just lets it blow by, and then the only compression it gets to build is this last little bit right here. I wonder if we should, I kind of want to pull that whole thing apart anyway because of those rings. I'm bouncing back and forth between, like, to me that ring gap just looks really weird. Again, I've never just seen one that has a shape where it comes up like that. It may be just the way it is, but usually you don't see that much of the ring external from the piston. Plus we got a bunch of big scoring right there too where that decompression valve is. So maybe it's two things, but let's continue forward with getting the cylinder out. You want to see what's in there anyway, right? All right, let's go get that carb off of there. And the boot, we could look down this, we could look into the jug. Should be a reed valve. Actually, we could look in the exhaust too, can't we? What can you guys see? I know you can see more than I can. You're there. Yeah. All right, let's continue digging away. It's got to come apart anyhow. Carb's got to get cleaned, everything. One thing I did notice I don't see on it is when they overbore it, usually the top of the piston has a stamping saying it'd be like 0.01 on it, 10, 20, 30 over is how much the cylinder's been bored. I don't see anything there. A lot of times this has, should be able to undo this to slide out of it. It's stuck full throttle too. That's, the slide should be down there and it's not. It's on wide open, so that's an issue. Sometimes it doesn't get put back together right. Let's go see what we got. There's two ways that can be put in there. There's like a locating pin. And it was 180 out. So that was never going to run because there's a pin right here locating it. And when you put it back together, it has to line up with that. And that allows that slide to close up. So that was an issue. All right, let's go get the reed valve off of it. We'll pull that away and we'll see if we can see a little bit better on the side of the piston. This is what's called a reed valve. It kind of made the performance of the two-strokes come up a lot. Before they didn't have this. It's just a one-way door with allows it not to go backwards. So you got these little flaps in here. You see they'll open. They'll let the air fuel mix go in, but when the charge comes the other direction, it doesn't allow it to go backwards. They look pretty good. You'll see an air gap. You put a light behind them too and kind of tell. The light's gonna get you. Hold on. You put a light behind them. If you see light kind of poking through somewhere on them, you have a reed valve that's leaking. That looks pretty good though. Let's go look at the piston. So the way it works, you see, that's the bottom of the piston. You see those holes in. So the air fuel mix gets sucked into the bottom of the crankcase. Piston goes up, fires. As it goes down, the ports for the exhaust open. It clears out, goes down a little bit further. The bottom of the crankcase is open, and it fills in with get this flipped over. I want to stay at top dead center. Am I close enough? So it'll be open to the bottom of the chamber, and the air fuel mix gets drawn into the bottom of the crankcase. It uses the bottom of the piston to kind of like draw vacuum. It draws air fuel into the bottom, and then the piston goes down. It pushes that air fuel mix around to the top and allows it to have an air fuel mix. Piston fires, goes back down, clears the thing. I messed that one all up. You got the idea. Let's go see if you can see the side of that piston. I see some all the way to the left there. Looks like something's going on. Some kind of scoring or tore or something. Alright, let's go get the oil line off of it, and we'll get the bolts off around the top. And I still have to get this off too, yeah. I was thinking, you know what's nice is that it's not using the studs that hold the head on to hold the cylinder on. Because it's got the bolts that go down, we don't have to clear the top here. You should have an O-ring on both sides of it. It's probably stuck to it, or it's missing. Yeah, generally there's a seal on both sides. Don't see it. Alright, let's figure out what is down in the hole. So in other words, we just have to kind of go clear the piston. If we put the piston all the way down, we should just have to lift the jug up a little bit and get it out of our way. Air on there. Let's get one out, see what it looks like. And side pressure. Huh. Yeah, so it does go on a stud, but it looks like the stud's going to be just a very stubby one. Joke. But we should have still enough room to clear it. Let me get the rest of them out. I got all the bolts out, but before we pull that up, let's go give a blast of air just so that we blow all the crap off. There's mouse shit sitting right there, so let's, just so it doesn't fall down the bottom end. Dun, dun, dun. Watch it not even move. You might have to get a rubber mallet. Baby. Piston, stay down. Let's see. Oof. Yeah, she scored up pretty good. Especially on the front side, really tore up. Yeah, all that right in there. That's not looking healthy. Is there any rings? No rings are stuck. Yeah, well, that one's just weird. Like a paint can lid, you know. Let's go on the other side, take a look. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's where she really was taking a hit. You know. So look at the jug. So what happens is that scores up the side of the cylinder, and then the ring can no longer seal against that surface. And it just leaks right around it. Go feel how the bearings feel. Top one's sloppy. The top one's got some plain. The bottom one. That bottom one doesn't feel very good neither. That's why they sold it. Because to do the bottom one's a pain in the ass. You gotta, I believe you gotta split the case on it to get it out. I don't know if it's a, some of them are bolted together like a cap. Some of them are just one piece, and you gotta split the crank to get it out of there. Let's take a peek on that one. It's a roller bearing. It's a roller bearing in there. Let's see if you see any rust coming out of the sides of it. Yeah, a bunch of heavy scoring on it right there too. Let's go look at the jug. Yeah, it's pretty tore up too. Typical two-stroke stuff, you know, it's just what it is. Right there is real bad. So that's where it's having a lot of the leaking going by. I saw a crack right there. Is that a crack? Or is that just where the jug is meeting the cast iron? That's what all that is, yeah. I was expecting to see actually like a broken ring or something too. So like I said, this can be bored. Like 10 or whatever it takes to go clean it up, and I just don't know what's available for this setup too. I gotta go do some shopping and see if we can get, you know, a piston that's 10 over, 20 over. Get the cylinder board, and then you would put it all back together. Yeah. Let's yeah. What if we should just run a stone through it? And it generally kind of gives you an idea how it's going to clean up. Normally you'd measure everything, but even that piston did feel kind of sloppy in there. But that might be because of the piston itself. Gouged up. Let's see if there's any numbers on it. Let me go clean that over. There might be a 10 right there. I see something. Go shove a rag in a hole. Keep all the crap from getting down there. Let's get the rings off of it. Just no big deal. You probably just use your fingers. Yeah, it's pretty hammered. Once. I have little pliers to do this with too. You would think I would use them. Like opposite of like using those pliers, they just go outward. Okay, fine. Do that. What you do is you put this back. You put this back in the jug, and there's something called ring gap. It's how far these come together. Kind of tells you how far worn the rings are. But let's go get a Scotch-Brite on the top of that. Yeah, a little bit of carb clean. Has a 7.5 on it. Not quite sure what that's going to stand for. Usually, I thought it was always 10 thou over. Is that a 0.75 over? We have to do some homework on that. What's your thoughts? Huh? Think that's a 0.75? Think that's a point? Right there? Let's get a clip out of it, and we'll slide the center out of it. We'll get the bearing out, take a peek at that stuff. Right. Don't jinx me. It's only got a tit on one end, which makes it a little difficult to get it to. How about some pliers? Can we get pliers in there? There we You thought I was going to drop it, didn't you? Alright, so we should be able to push the center of it out. The wrist pin out of our way. And that should give us the... might have to clean that surface up a little. Come on. They get crud built up on the lip right there. Worst case, you can also try pushing it the other way. Let's go get a little lube. A little lube. We can tap it out to it. It'll go. Yeah. Grab a brass rod. I'll probably take the clip out of the other side and we'll drive it out. One way probably should be easier than the other. There we go. There we go. See if it'll go back this way. Yeah. Hammer time! There she goes. Enough, and the bearing's going to want to fall out, so there's that. There's the bearing. Doesn't look totally beat if you got it that far apart. The rod is what's more you're concerned about. Let's go over to the bench with our goodies and take a peek at what we got. Alright, so the piston has a little spreader that's in there too. The ring, I should say. Somewhere there should be an end to it. Try to get that out, and that just it helps push the ring against the cylinder walls. It definitely looks like it's got some wear to it too. All the contact areas. And yeah, we're looking pretty gouged. A little bit of chopping around the hole too. Those are the ports that transfer. Let's pop one of the rings in. Let's go pop that top ring in. We'll see how much of a gap there is. Now it's going to look a little large anyway, because the piston has a pin that takes up a little bit of the play. You can see that a lot of times you can use the piston itself for the to square it off, which really doesn't look bad. Hold on, you see that big large gap right there? That's not what I'm talking about. It'll be further in. Get you close. You see where it is right against the wall right there? See how there's like a, I don't know, like a 10 thou? What's looking out front of you is probably like 70,000. I'm talking about right there, or 100 thou. That's where the pin is. The actual gap is a little for that piece that's further in, because on the piston will be a pin, a little pin right there. That's where that's supposed to set. It keeps the two rings from lining up to each other. There's one there, and there's one there. Keeps them from lining up so the blow by doesn't happen in one location. Kind of keeps them racked. Let's go throw the other one in. See what we get. This is the 4-stroke to be an oil ring down below it, which is, they're generally 3 pieces, 4 pieces, 3 pieces. They'll have a like an upper. They'll have like that piece that you saw, the little spreader looking thing, and then they'll have a upper and a lower, very thin. So that one is screwed. That one's ridiculous gap. Yeah. Get rid of the other one. Well, that one's got tremendous. That's probably where that black steam was coming from. Show you. Yeah, I got a gap that's in that one. I got a gap in that one. That's got to be about 40 or 50 thou. Again, that should be like, I don't know, sure on this one, but like 8 thou. Yeah, enough that very thin feeler gauge is kind of going through it. 3 thou. Not much. And the other thing you can do too, but we're not going to be able to really tell on this one, you could tell the bore going down. You would push it lower. I'll use the piston for example. So if you want to see if the bore is kind of even going all the way around, you drop it down to about right there. You look at the gap again, you'd measure it, you could tell if the bore's, the taper of the bore is changing. Generally it's the top. The top section is usually where, where all the compression is where the change is. But this thing is scored all the way around, top and bottom. All right, so we know we need definitely, either that has to get enlarged. Maybe we'll throw a stone in it, see what happens. Piston, I would say, is pretty much junk. And definitely the ring is, that ring is cooked. It's weird how much slop that had on the top of the piston too. Let's go throw that back on there. It's not as bad as I thought. It kind of looked like, again, when we had it in the jug, and we're kind of, I think it was more the piston moving around inside the bore of the cylinder. But it doesn't feel like it's got, I thought it had a lot of slop going like this. It doesn't. Around that pin right there. Not too bad. Again, I just think it's now so undersized, it's allowed to sit open like that instead of, realistically it should be snugged down like so. So this one's a 0.75. So at some point it has been apart and replaced, I guess. Let's have a Yamaha. That's the numbers inside it. The Zoomy, does that mean like it's aftermarket or stock? I don't know. Let's go throw a stone inside that. This is just WD-40. Need something like a cutting agent. And they have I can call these a flat stone, and then they have like a ball hone. But I want to see what marks are left over. I want to hone it, and I want to see what scratches stay behind is kind of what I'm looking for. If you do a ball hone, it kind of fills in. It's allowed to adjust. I'll show you one in a minute. It allows to adjust and get rid of all the little spots in it. It'll look clean, but it's not an even bore going up. And that's not, you want a nice straight even bore. I'm not hitting nothing. You get it in low. Let's go clean that out. And it should have witness marks left behind of what happened. Judging by what I saw, it's going to be pretty bad still. So. Actually, it's better than I thought. So it popped out of there. Oh yeah, because you're not seeing the side it needs it, which is that upper part. And you can see right down there, there's where that path is. The rest of it actually looks cleaned up fairly nicely. Just that area. That scar going right down there. That's going to be the only part where there's an issue. We go run it a little bit more and we'll see what we get. I'll show you what a ball hone looks like compared when we're doing it. So that's the difference of a ball hone. Is that each one is individually allowed to drop in and fill in any kind of, and here's a cylinder wall, say if it's irregular, it allows it to fill in, even though it's not straight, get in those little gaps and still kind of, sand it smooth. Kind of lies to you. Even this really isn't doing anything it's doing good for the parallel of it. But if you look down the cylinder, and if the cylinder's oval, it's not going to do anything for that. It doesn't fix this, which is most common what happens because the piston is, kind of moving. The direction of the rotation of the crank is where most of the load on the piston is happening, slapping from side to side, and that's how it kind of wears the jug oval. So that kind of lies to you too, because it makes nice clean scratches going around. All right, let's go run it up a little bit more and see if we can help that out. That's all we're gonna do with it. Yeah, hey guys, let's finally come off. And yeah, it looks pretty good actually. I actually did not expect it to clean up as well as it did. The lower part is although it supports the skirt of the piston, keeps the piston straight, that's not the compression part of it. Once you get above those holes in the side there, those ports, that's when it starts building compression. That's where it's really important as far as, at least getting a squeeze on it. Let's get a caliper and measure it and see if we got a ovalness going on. So this is definitely not the tool that you want to use because you're not dropping down inside the bore. Let me get it zeroed out. Kind of slap it a couple times to make sure it repeats to 0. And I'm just going to go and do it so we can see it. I'll make a reading this way. Let me get another side of you. Like that. I'm trying to get the highest reading on it if I can. And what is that? I gotta look that number up. Get my eyeballs on. It's probably like 3 inches and something wide. It is 3. I don't know if I'm over or under the 2. I want to say 180, 178. 3 inches, 178 thou. And we did it like that, right? Let's go do across it. And again, the other problem is too, you're kind of dealing with the top ridge that's on there. The piston doesn't go up that high. And I am at 3,750. Well, we're 3 or 4 thou difference between it. And again, it should be wider this way, just by common sense of the way it runs compared to the side skirts. But we'll call that 3,180 roughly is its dimension. And I'll do some homework on it. We could check the other end too, between the skirts. Like I said, normally, and what you do is, say if you get a piston that's 30,000 over, what you would do is you put this in a lathe, and you would chuck it up in a lathe, and you would open the whole surface up 30 thou. And when you do that too, it also makes it more round. Let's see what we get on this. Caliper's a little bit. My beater caliper. Just trying to get the widest number on it. And so that we're down to 3,162. So between the top of the bore and the bottom of the bore, there's a taper. The bore's like this, which makes sense again because that's where all the work is happening up here. Nothing's really happening down here except for just the base of the piston is there. The rings aren't even touching that. So, well, let's go take a quick peek at what we got for parts going on inside here and see if there's anything that that's like the old headlight. Looks like they changed everything out. Yeah, it looks like they changed everything over to like a 12-volt kit of some sorts. There's the charging system and the magneto plate. I wonder if they had a problem where it had no spark and they just changed it all out. And some hardware. We got in here both baffles. Looks like the original tail light, which is nice. Looks like another headlight. The bucket for the back. More headlights. Let's get this out of here. Another headlight bucket. Some bulbs. That looks like the removal tool, which is neat. This is for getting the magneto off. It's a special tool. It's got threads different on each side. You run it in, it pops the magneto off. Good, we'll put that in the stash. We got a new rear sprocket. New horn, which is probably 12 volts too, if they're switching everything over to 12 volts. Front and rear brake shoes. And a front sprocket. And then we get a receipt. I already had to cut out that part because the guy's name was on it. Just appeared there. Yeah, but we got brakes, sprockets, removal tool, bunch of headlights, some baffles, and a blown up engine. So I'm gonna go do some shopping and see what we can come up with for this. And see, yeah, unfortunately that's the problem, is that a lot of stuff just isn't available because it's 50 years old and there's not really a supply back for it. You know, when I was a kid and this bike was 8 years old, you can go get a set of rings. They had them in stock right down at the Honda guy in your town, but not so much here. So, I don't see much heating. It's a little dark down there, but that's the other concern too. Checking for up and down play. There is a little, yeah. I did, when I got it, I put it in each gear and just kind of pushed the bike back and forth just to make sure all the gears were there, but you don't know if it has any issues. Yeah, you can't run it, you can't check the clutch, you can't check charging system, and there's so much stuff that you just can't get into. So, you know, whether it knocked or not, who knows. But I'm gonna look, see what we got available, see if we are able to get ourselves whatever's available. I think eBay might even be our best bet on that. If I can get a cylinder and piston all, you know, a matched set, I'll go and do that, but I have a feeling it might be a little on the a tad expensive side, but we'll see. I don't have an answer for you yet. So, all right guys, well, like I said, I was planning on doing a teardown, possibly if it was going to run, but I don't think we were going to have enough compression to do what we needed to do. If we possibly put it back together now, it may run, but it's going to have no longevity to it. Oh well, we tried. All right guys, we'll see how long it takes for this stuff to come in. And again, I'll go back. All the MG parts came in today, so we can get started back on putting that car back together. With that guys, I'm gonna go sign out. I thank you all for hanging out with me, doing some wrenching, and we'll do it again next week. Till then, later. And up in my bike stash, I'll show you the 175 real quick. So this is kind of the same family of it, but the other one's the big brother. So you can see where it's similar to it. Exhaust is laid out different. The cylinder head's not bolted down the same way. That front fender I was talking about, here's like how the supports would be on a solid front fender. And of course this one has all the directionals and everything on it. It's been a great bike. Runs really nice. A little low on power, but you know, that's what the 360 is for.